Hi, everyone. This is your host, Kristen Howe, and I am so excited to welcome you to our call with today's guest, Dr. Sue Morter. International speaker, master of bioenergetic medicine, and quantum field visionary, Dr. Sue teaches the embodiment of high-frequency energy patterns to activate full human potential. Through her Energy Code seminars and retreats and her Body Awake video series, she illuminates the relationships of quantum thoughts, energy medicine, and healing through the elevation of human consciousness and life mastery. Dr. Sue is internationally published, is seen in many documentary films, and serves on professional licensing and human service boards globally. She's received many outstanding achievement awards in the field of transformational leadership, and she is the founder and visionary of the Morter Institute and Soulful Science Productions. Now, on today's call with Dr. Sue, you will discover the different frequencies that energy vibrates at and how they relate to awakening. You'll find out how we create energy blockages, and you'll be given techniques to remove these blockages from your energy flow. And as we know, removing these blockages is the key to manifesting, and manifesting from the inside out. So I can't wait for this. Dr. Sue, I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us today, and welcome to the call.
Oh, thank you so much. It is my great joy to be here. It is always a delight to share a conversation with people who are really interested in digging into the real meaning behind the scenes in life. And I just love to live there, and I love to play there. So I can't wait to see where we go today.
This is going to be fun. We're going to have a blast. And everyone, I know you're all just going to love Dr. Sue's energy. So let's jump in. I would love to have you share a little bit of your story, and specifically maybe any major turning points that you've experienced that have allowed you to use what we're going to talk about today and manifest your current level of success and happiness and all of that great stuff.
Okay. Well, I have a kind of an interesting story, and we all have interesting stories in one way or another, and I love to weave them together and to hear the same from others. So for that reason, I'm happy to share my story, but I'm really not a big one to talk about myself, other than the fact that when I have experienced something and I know what it has revealed for me in my life, I know that sharing that with someone else gives them an opportunity to equate that to something similar in their own life experience. And I know that anchors in everyone's awareness that anything is possible for all of us. If it's possible for one of us, it's possible for all of us. And it's very important that we recognize that, everyone. So I would just say this. I did grow up in kind of a unique situation. I grew up in an alternative healthcare environment, like natural health care and a quantum science conversations like the thoughts become things and you create your own reality, and the body is designed to be healthy and whole, and if it's not, there's a reason, and it doesn't require something from the outside to fix it. It just needs to be rearranged how it's functioning, recalibrated, realigned from the inside out, and then we're able to masterfully really move through life in a very healthful and high level of function. And so accordingly, I've never gone to the doctor for an antibiotic for an ailment and taken a prescription to get well in my life. And I make the joke when I'm in a live audience that I'm 86 years old and I've never, had to take a medication. Well, I'm not 86 years old, but the point is, what I know is that we have the ability to be well, we have the ability to be whole, and we have the ability to create what we want, not just get better at reacting or responding to things. And so I grew up knowing this, but as with all of us, we can know something and we can perhaps not know how to apply it until the rubber hits the road, until the day comes, until we're in the situation. And so as I grew up and graduated from school and went out to set up my practice and start working with patients and do my thing, I found that I was starting to get really stressed out, that I was really worrying about whether or not other people were going to listen to what I had to say and really get the advantage and transform their lives or not. And I found myself driving home at night with white knuckles, just stressed out very soon after I opened my practice. And I was thinking, God, if this is the way it's going to be, I don't know if I want to do this for the rest of my life because it's really stressful. I'm worrying about all these new people all the time. So I finally realized that I had to rearrange my calibration of what mattered and my measuring stick of how I was to measure my own success. And so I recognized that if I showed up and did my part and I shared and revealed every bit of information that I could, and I helped people as much as I could by providing the information for them, then I had a good day. And if they took that and did something with it and had a transformative experience in their life, then they had a good day. But I wasn't dependent upon their actions in order to measure my own degree of success for the day. So that was a beginning of a realization to me that something from the inside had to happen without reference to the external world. And so it began to develop this idea that we need to learn to manage our internal environment regardless of our external circumstances if we ever want to be in a truly empowered position. And then the big transformation happened in my life after that. I was very drawn to meditation. I was very curious about it. I didn't really know what it was about. I was interested in the study of consciousness and psychology and brain function, but I really had never been exposed to meditation, even in the natural health care that I had been raised in. And so I found myself in a workshop, and I started having experiences instantly. And I shared those experiences with one of the assistants at the workshop for the teacher who was from India teaching this course on meditation. I shared my experiences with the assistant. The assistant apparently told the teacher I was invited to come to India and study with this person. So I went, and I began having transformative experiences that changed my life forever. Now, there's just a few more seconds really to this story, but it's really the pinnacle of it all, because everything that we're about to share comes from what happened to me next. That next circumstance was something that changed my life forever. I was in this meditation retreat. I had made a decision that I was going to do something for myself that I had never done before. And I share that with you because I know this will be important in any transformative experience in your life, that it has to come from the inside out, and there has to be an intense desire to serve the self, to be there for oneself, to love the self, to be available for yourself, to take action in that direction. And that's exactly what I did through a set of circumstances that were very challenging for me to do what I did, for me to go to this retreat, for me to sit down inside of this program and actually let myself have the experience of it was a very big thing because of circumstances that may or may not be applicable for our conversation today. So I won't go into the details, but I do want to say for once and for all, I was going to just have it my way because I had lived my life with the intention of serving other people, helping other people. I had broad shoulders. I could muscle through it. I could take it for the team, that kind of thing constantly for years. And so this was the first time that I was actually saying no thank you to something very big and saying yes to myself in lieu of that. And in the face of those circumstances, I know that the energies came together in a way that was very unique to that moment, and that played an integral role to the awakening that occurred through the process that happened in the few minutes after that. So I sat down in this meditation retreat, and I allowed myself to focus on a chant that was being chanted, which I wasn't familiar with the words. I wasn't familiar with Sanskrit language. It was a whole different reality to me. I was a scientist who was used to doing reproducible things in my office and teaching patients how to go home and make a difference in their lives today with practical, pragmatic things, but I didn't have any idea what to do with this idea of consciousness, non-thinking, illumination, enlightenment, all of this foreign world to me. So the Eastern culture was playing a huge role in here's step number 2, my intense focus on what was happening. I was limiting all of my awareness to what I was doing in that moment. My mind wasn't scattered. I wasn't daydreaming about other things. All of me was in this moment. So then I was also, and this will be step 3, I was having to take big, deep breaths because we were chanting a chant that was very slow, and the tones that they were holding were very long. And it was happening repetitively over and over and over. One deep breath and holding a tone, singing a tone, and then another deep breath and then singing a tone. And what was happening, and I didn't know this at the time, but what was happening was a vibrational frequency was changing inside of my body because of all of these circumstances coming together at the same time. And ultimately, as we'll get into in our conversation today, that's the only thing that matters. It's what are the vibrational frequencies doing in your system, and are they aligning in a way that allows you access to the higher self version of you, to the bigger picture of you, the one that understands and that knows why you're going through all of the things that you're going through and what the meaning is behind the scenes of the circumstances that are occurring. So I sat down, I'm breathing these deep breaths, I'm completely focused on taking this to the heart, taking it from me, having it from me, and I was toning and chanting these vibratory frequencies, all of which were the sounds of names of the divine, of nature, of God, of possibility. So it was all high vibration. It was all possibility. The idea of high frequency thoughts was the only thing that existed in that circumstance. So in that moment, I don't know how many rounds of the chant I got through, not very many. I was transported into another dimensional version of myself. I was in another world, still me, but I was not in a physical body. I was still me, but I was suspended above the earth so high that I could look below me and see it about the size of a marble. And I was embedded into it up to what would have been my knees. I could feel it. I could feel myself in it. And there was brilliant, brilliant, brilliant bright light. And I could see behind me the same as I could see in front of me, in all directions, 360 degrees around. I could see the same. There was complete presence. And every time I took a deep breath in to chant these words of this chant, I noticed that this brilliant horizon, this pink, iridescent, translucent, pearlescent blanket that felt like love would rise on the inhale and would gracefully flow back down on the exhale. And it would rise again on the inhale and gracefully fold back down to the horizon level on the exhale. And I knew that there was love being actually generated through this process of breathing, and that this love vibration was moving to the planet. And I knew that that's what we're doing. It was this tremendous, to say it was an aha moment is beyond the beyond. It doesn't begin to describe it. And most importantly, I want to close this story with the fact that the feeling that I had, the sensation that I had, was complete fulfillment, complete satiation. There was nothing missing. There was nowhere to go, nothing to do, nothing to prove, nothing to validate. There was no degree to get so that you're important or that you know that you know. There was nothing like that our culture has wrapped itself up in. The part of me that existed beyond this temporal life existence woke up. And it is from that place that I began to realize that this is what I must do. This is what I have to do. After I came down out of that experience, I wanted to return to that experience. And so I started working on how to do that. And more importantly, because I did figure out how to do that pretty readily, because it was so fresh and so powerful, more importantly, I wanted to know how to have that experience while I was walking around in my daily life, how to remember that vibration, that state when I was paying my bills, how to recall that and hold on to it and be that, embody it when I was in the middle of an argument, with my significant other, and how to handle children and bosses and all of these things in the light of that same state, because I knew if I could do that, I would be free. So I spent the next 10 years figuring out how to do that. And what I've been doing in the last 7 years or so, is traveling around the world and sharing what I put together with the information and the wisdom and the intellect that I had known for 25 years prior, and been working with patients with natural health care and how the body works and how energies flow through the body, coupling all of that together and generating a series of principles and practices that allow us to turn on self-healing, turn on our ability to access this eternal steadiness that is the truth of who we are underneath the scenes. It doesn't ever get rattled. And to combine those components into a way of living that allows us to manifest what we choose, what we truly feel that we desire to have manifest in our lives. Because when we drop into that deep, steady place, our desires shift. Our desires become natural. And what we find ourselves wanting is what is intended to be for us naturally. It is abundant. It is flowing. It is a life experience that I never thought I would have had. I never thought it was possible to have as much grace and ease flow through my life as does. No matter how hard I tried in the past, and no matter how much I studied or how much effort I put into things, and I did create tremendous success. I was in the top 3% of my profession within the first 5 years of being out of school. No problem. But this is quantumly and exponentially more abundant and more flowing and more fluid and more graceful and easier because of implementing the things that I've been sharing with you now. Now, all of my answers will not be as long as that one was. But it sets a foundation for us to hopefully have some fun.
Yeah, I love that. And there actually, in what you were saying, my brain was going, ooh, I want to ask about that. Ooh, I want to ask about that. Okay, so one of the things that I want to quickly address, purely because I felt an energy shift as you said it, and I felt resistance, so this is why I want to bring it up, is when you said, and then your desire, when you drop into that place, then your desires change to what they really are, to what is really here for you and meant to be and all of that. And do you find that you run into a strange resistance to that where people panic and they're like, but no, I want this.
I want what I want. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
You bet. Well, I don't mean that what you want to have happen in your life changes, but I do mean that why you want it may change, and how you perceive yourself going toward it or going for it or generating, the project, getting it in motion. The process of allowing it to unfold is very different than the process of making it happen. And that is the distinction that I want people to get, because one is full of effort and the other is full of ease. And, we just have to know that we have a tendency to live in our heads. We have a tendency to get all up in our heads and compare and decide that by a certain point in my life, I'm supposed to have this going on and that going on and this going on. And I'm supposed to do this or supposed to do that because my sister is, or because my friends that I graduated from college with are, or what have you. And all of that may have nothing to do with your true purpose in this life. And the sooner we can get in touch with your true purpose in this life, you will not have to give up the goals and the dreams and the desires. And I'll be interested to see if you still do want them exactly the way that you thought you did once you dropped into your core. But the how-to will definitely become easier for you.
I love that. And I so agree with you. I think that when we do drop into our core, we become free perhaps of some of the desires that were motivated not by actually wanting it, but by, assigning some self-value to it or something. So I love that you said that. Okay, now through your story of what became apparent to me is that even when you said, so I was still me, but I was not me, as physical me. So everything really is energy.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It was the energy behind the scenes. It was the energetic essence of me that was still present instead of the personality me and the physical me that we are so identified with. And the issue there is that when we're identified with the personality and with the physical version of ourselves, when that's the only us that we think we are, it's pretty scary because, things change physically, or we may be physically limited in some kind of way, or our personalities may have egoic responses, reactions to things that cause us to not participate with love, not participate with the mind of possibility. And so we withdraw, or we hedge, or we hesitate, or we argue, or we defend. We do all kinds of things relative to the ego protective personality that we wouldn't have to do if we weren't solely identified there. If we had some identity and some reference of some other parts of us at the same time, then that ego protector wouldn't play such a profound overriding role and wreak as much havoc in our lives as it does. It's about getting in touch with the energetic essence of the truth of who you are underneath all of that. That's ultimately what has to happen. And there are several ways we can approach that, and we'll get into some of those in our conversation, I'm just sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's all about, talk to me about different, energy vibrating at different frequencies and how that factors into all of this. And then yes, I would like to get into some of how we can approach that.
So everything being energy, everything is vibrating at different frequencies. So there is a part of you that is the energetic bandwidth of emotions, and there is another part of you that is the energetic bandwidth of your thoughts, your beliefs, your conscious beliefs and your subconscious beliefs, and so on. There's another part of you that is the energetic bandwidth of physical matter, and that would be your tissues, your skin, your bones, your organs, and all of that. There's another part of you that's the energetic bandwidth that's just pure energy, pure spirit. The spirituality of someone it's the bottom line. It's the foundation upon which everything else is built. So we build a personality, we build thoughts, we build beliefs, and then we have emotions that go along with those beliefs. And then we get set in patterns based upon past experiences of activating certain aspects of those energy bandwidths together in certain recipes. Given, if you had a rough childhood, you've developed certain patterns, guaranteed, that are different from someone else who had a different kind of challenge in their childhood. If you had, and guarantee everyone has had challenging, childhood experiences and young adult experiences and recent difficult experiences. And all of those are different energy patterns that are running through our life, through our consciousness, through our whole being. And the whole idea here is, how do I change those patterns? If I don't like what I tend to be creating and tend to be generating in my life, the thoughts that I tend to think, the habits that I tend to fall into, the circumstances, the relationships that I build, the jobs that I accept, all of those things are a reflection of how the energy is running through this system that is you. And those patterns got established very early on. And they're part of a grand plan, actually, which is something that I teach in my workshop, part of a grand plan. That grand plan is what is meant to be for you, what you're coming into this life to do. It's your soul purpose. It's your life purpose. And I love to get into conversations about that, but we don't have time to go there in too much depth here today. But that's for another time, and I do love to have that one because it's actually very elementary. It's very practical and very obvious once we learn how to see what that purpose is that my life is pointing me toward. So when we're dealing with different energy frequencies, the object is, how do I create the energy frequencies and the patterns in my body? How do I get rid of the old stuff that has me blocked up, that has me continuously running the energy around this blockage, this block in the river, this dam in the river? How do I get rid of it? How do I dissolve it? How do I remove it so that the river can flow freely, so that I can manifest freely, so that I can have all of me show up easily all the time instead of just periodically or inadvertently or haphazardly. So we want to be in a little bit more masterful state there. So energy frequencies, different frequencies, are relative to different experiences that are unresolved. When we have unresolved past experiences, it creates blockages in our own energy field, and those blockages have to be removed in order for us to allow that flow to return to its ultimate natural state and what we're intended to do. Now, the beautiful thing about it is, whatever it takes for us to remove those blockages is exactly pointing us in the direction of our purpose for being on the planet. And so everyone gets served when we figure it out. So beautifully so, we have techniques and ways and technology to begin to dig into that and dissolve some of that interference that exists at the conscious or at the subconscious level. Most importantly, the subconscious. Just in most people, if they knew what their blockages were, they would dissolve them. They would disassemble them as quickly as they could. But the problem is, most of the issues are not held at the conscious level. They're held at the subconscious level. And so we have to learn ways to bring it from the subconscious up to the conscious so that we can have access to it, so that we can do something about it. And that's what I do. That's what I have the wonderful pleasure of traveling the world and sharing with people how to do.
That's so exciting, because I'm sure you can look at people and see what's possible, and you've seen it in other people when they remove their blockages. So that just must be so exciting to be able to share that.
There is nothing more fulfilling than to watch someone light up when the energy starts flowing through their life again, through their body. We use the body as a monitor to give us feedback as to how we're doing with clearing up these energy blockages in our lives. I assure you, if there's something that's not happening and not flowing in your life, there's a direct correlation to an area of your body that is also not flowing, and the energy is not moving through that area of the body accordingly. Everything is interrelated so intricately that it cannot be separated and have any kind of approach to a holistic life. So we use the body as a feedback mechanism. What I do is I teach people how to monitor and measure the energy that's flowing through the body so that they can begin to have a sensitivity to that, and it is only then that they can begin to move it and manage it and maneuver it in a way so that the energy begins to flow sooner rather than later. Now, the importance of that is when somebody is upset about something and then they resolve it, we've all had this experience. The energy just lightens up. It feels so much different in the body. It seems to flow. And we set down, we relax down into the body more. And there's no coincidence there. That is so overlooked in our culture as far as what that really means. There is so much science and so much research behind the scenes here that could illuminate us and set us free and teach us that we have to grab a hold of those moments and learn what they represent and start to masterfully manage that. In other words, if you've ever had an aha moment, a moment of great relief where you were really dreading something and then it just, it came to be, or you had a moment where you saw someone that you just loved so much. If you had been looking inside the body, just attending with your attention inside the body, as much as you were putting your attention outside the body on the circumstance that was eliciting this experience inside of you, you would have noticed that there was a great shift in energy that happened, and it happened in a specific manner. It went in a particular direction. It started in a particular place, and it went to a particular place, or it was distributed differently in a particular pattern. And if you could, and you can, learn how to interpret those differences, the different places the energy swells, the different places the energy contracts, the different ways that the energy spreads out and gets warm, or a chill up your spine, or the hair standing up on your skin, or these kinds of things. If you could, and you can, but if you were to learn how to monitor that and to measure it, and you started to learn that language, then you would not only be able to understand how circumstances are serving your own awakening step by step, day by day, situation by situation in your life, you would also be able to kind of flip that over and go to the energy shift before the circumstances change. Just intentionally bring your body into that state, into that pattern that it would have gone into automatically if you had a revelation, or you had just seen someone that you love, or you had a conflict resolve, or you had giant relief from something greatly dreaded. You can generate the energetic pattern in the body even if the circumstances haven't happened yet. Now, this is the beautiful thing about it. If we're going to be manifesting, we have to act as creator. That means we have to create the energetic pattern that would exist if somebody else had already delivered our salvation. If somebody else had already delivered our relief, had somebody else already made the situation okay. If the person you were in the argument came forth and made nice, you would have a sense of relief. What if you could have the sense of relief before they did that? If the financial situation could be relieved because you had a sudden influx, or a new job, or a raise, or someone passed and then you inherited some money or something, there would be a great sense of relief inside of you. Now, if you could generate the sense of relief before any of those things happen, then you're actually in a much more masterful state. You're not dependent upon your external circumstances to generate this reality shift for you. So that is what the energy codes are about. That is what I teach. And that is when I create a CD or a DVD, is 100% in support of teaching people how to, number one, get in touch with the energy that's even flowing inside of them in the first place, get in touch with parts of the body that have just been sitting there dormant or just been acting as a vehicle to carry us around, and we haven't really given them much more credit than that. When in reality, there are billions of impulses of information trying to bombard the brain, come up to the brain from inside the body, trying to give us information. And we just haven't been taught how to hear it and how to respond, how to much less manage it. So that's what I do. When I create these things, it is for the purpose of, let's get in touch. Let's begin now. It can happen, and it can happen very quickly because it's our true nature. It's what we're designed and built to do. It's just that our culture hasn't been teaching us how to do that until now. Humanity is ready. And so this kind of work and this kind of information is coming forward from all corners of the earth. And this one, I'm happy to say, also comes from high above the earth, from where I awakened in that moment that day. And the information that has been pouring through me since then is unstoppable. I am, as you can tell, it's hard for me to stop talking about it. I'm so inspired by it.
Yeah, that's because it's so exciting. Now, let me ask you this. Is it for us to, and I love what you were saying about you can cause your energy to go into that state without the thing outside of you having to happen. I think that's absolutely spectacular. And wow, talk about empowering. Is it a requirement? I don't think I ever used that word, but I'm going to use it right now, that we first remove the blockages to our energy, or can we actually just put ourselves in the energetic state that we're looking for? Does that question make sense?
Yes, it does. It makes very good sense. And the answer is yes, both hands. Okay. So you can begin without removing obstacles, but it will flood through you so much more quickly if we do remove the obstacles of the subconscious interferences from the past. And let me just repeat what I meant by that. I talked about the river that's flowing through us, and that there are dams in the river or blockages in that river that keep the river from flowing the way that it's supposed to. And those rocks in the river or the dams in the river are based on unresolved emotional upsets from the past. Things like you were a kid, you were trying to express love, you were trying to share that, and somebody made fun of you, or you got in trouble for trying to do it the way that you thought you were supposed to, or you thought it would work, or other kids laughed, or mom got upset because the picture that you drew for her of the house and the dog and the clouds and the tree and everything that you were so proud of, you inadvertently, you drew it on the dining room wall instead of on a piece of paper. So mom got upset, and all in the moment that you thought this was going to be like great, she's going to hug me and kiss me and be so proud of me, and quite the opposite happened. Well, that gets registered in the subconscious. And then later in life, when you're expressing your creativity or you're trying to give somebody something, your subconscious throws you into an emergency defense, fight or flight mode like no other, and you don't know why. The boss might ask you to come up with a creative solution for something that's going on in the workplace, and you start trembling in your boots because the idea of expressing yourself creatively is unheard of. It's just not a possibility, and it has to do with this past subconscious interference. So I'd like to say that, of course, there's a small part of us that can always move forward without going back and clearing up some of those things. But I know that the tendency is for most people to go out and put forth those efforts and only to be disillusioned and disappointed, even if they're saying their affirmations and getting up early and doing the things that they're supposed to do to create this life that they want, when all the while it's the subconscious thinks that that's the last thing I'm going to let this person do, because the last time we even approached something like a dream like that in any other form, we got nailed. So my job is to keep her from getting hurt again. This is what the subconscious is in there saying. My job is to keep you from making a fool of yourself again. So you go ahead and try, but I'm never going to let you get to 100% of that. I might let you get to 60, 70, 80, 90. But at 90, I'm going to pull the plug on you and sabotage the situation. I'm going to cause you to not finish it. I'm going to cause you to get sick, or I'm going to cause you to not speak up in the moment that it would have made all the difference. I'm going to do something to keep you from ever going all the way to the zone that I have perceived as dangerous, because back at age 4 or 14 or 24 or 34, you got nailed. And I'm here for you. I'm never going to let you have that 100% bliss again if it's going to be hurtful again. So we just have to reframe that, because that's not how we're supposed to be operating. It's just that the protective subconscious, its job is to keep you alive. The subconscious
right.
job, period, is to keep you alive. So if it thinks that you're conjuring up threats for yourself, it's never going to force you into that role. It's never going to let you put yourself out on the limb and quit that job and go for it the way you want to set up your own business and start your coaching program or whatever it might be. It won't let you follow through in one way or another if it thinks it's going to, set you up for potential harm again. So that has to be rewired. That has to be reprogrammed. And beautifully, thank goodness that we have the technology to do that. The work that I teach, the work that I've been doing with my patients for 25 years in my office is the work that I was raised with. It was way ahead of its time. My father developed these techniques and continued to develop them up until last year when he made his transition. And it is bioenergetic synchronization work. And bioenergetics is just about moving the energy through the body in a more effective, more comprehensive way, not only for physical healing, but also for manifesting and for envisioning and for stepping into creatorship rather than being stuck in reactorship, which is what we do when we're stuck in the ego, defensive, protective personality. So there's another long answer. I promise not to have those, but here we are.
No, this is, hey, it's fantastic, though, and it's exactly what we need to hear. So let me ask you this. When we go to remove these blocks and the blockages to our energy, do we need to know exactly what the moment was that caused the blockage? Because I know a lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah, you know what? The beautiful thing about this work is that you don't need to know. You do not need to know. All of the reasons and all of the circumstances and all of the scenarios that all of us have been through can actually be boiled down into one of 6 vibrations that ultimately play the role. So the story doesn't matter. In fact, this work is about getting underneath the story. I would rather cut straight to the chase rather than try to dissect the story, because dissecting the story keeps us in our mind, and the mind is not the answer in this. The mind's job to solution is to pay attention to the heart and the personal power and the inner wisdom, and to learn how to do that by reading the patterns that are coming up through this body and collaborating with them. So it isn't a mental body process. So having to know who did me wrong, who said this that affected me that and set me off in this other direction, no. Quite the opposite. I'm, in fact, interested in us letting go of the need to know so that we can be available for what is, so that we can be available for the go ahead. And we do have to unlock the subconscious interference, but it isn't through an intellectual process. It's through an energy movement process. We get the energy moving in the body again in the way that it would be moving if we had identified the issue and had the revelation and had the aha. Now, interestingly enough, it may come to you later once you get the energy flowing. People tell me all the time they're driving down the road and 4 days later, 3 days later, they all of a sudden just have this aha, this revelation. That's what it was. But even then, it doesn't have to happen. But so often people tell me that, the answers come after they've already learned how to get the energy moving in the system again, the way that it was originally intended to be moving. So it's pretty amazing. Our mind thinks it's so important. It thinks it has to have the answers. But here's the deal. It created the problems. So it's probably not going to be where the answers are found. But it can become aware. Einstein said we don't solve the problems on the same dimensional reality that we create them. We have to go to another dimension. And that's what I'm talking about. We're going to another dimension. We're dropping underneath the story level and getting into the root raw energy. And at that raw energetic level, we're in touch with infinite possibility.
Wow. Do you have anything that you can share with us, any techniques or anything that you could share with us right now to help us remove any of these blockages from our energy flow? Is there anything we can do? Together?
There are a couple of things that are very helpful to rethink the nervous system. One is a position that you put the body in. Some people might be not able to do this where they are right now when they're listening to this conversation, so you can do it later, but I'm going to teach you how to do it. So if you were able to stand, you would stand up and your feet would be right under your hips, just hip width apart, and you would take one step forward with your right foot. And when you take one step forward with your right foot, you're going to bend your right knee so that you can feel the muscles activating in your right thigh. And now your left arm is going to go straight up in front of you at a 45-degree angle where the wall would meet the ceiling. And your right arm is going to go back and down behind you to where the wall would meet the floor. And then you're going to turn your head to the side of the arm that is up in front of you. So your head's going to go to the left. And if you can, you would close your right eye. Now, you're going to do this position with some other things involved in a minute, but we'll come down out of the position when I teach you those, okay? But this is one state. Your right foot is forward, your right knee is bent, your left arm is up in front of you to where the wall would meet the ceiling, your right arm is down and back behind you to where the wall would meet the floor. Your head is turned to the left and your right eye is closed, and you're going to take a deep breath in low in your belly, take a deep breath in low in your belly, and you're going to have a feeling of love, something that you love, something that generates joy, something like forgiveness, something like compassion, something like joyful love of your pet or your child or your beloved, something that brings up great joy. You want to bring it into that state. Then you take a breath in and you hold it for about the amount of time that you would count to 10. Right? Then you let your air out and you bring your foot back, bring everything back to neutral, and you're going to do the exact same thing on the opposite side. You're going to step forward with your left foot, bend your left knee, and your right arm is going to go up at a 45-degree angle to where the wall would meet the ceiling. Your left arm is going to go down and back behind you to where the wall would meet the floor. This time you're going to turn your head to the right and you're going to close your left eye. You're going to take a deep breath in low in the belly, and you're going to focus on this feeling of being loved. Okay? Loving and being loved. Forgiveness, compassion. What does it feel like to be loved? To be wholeheartedly, fully, unconditionally loved and accepted and supported. And your mind might be saying in this moment, I don't know, I've never been completely, unconditionally loved and supported. Well, make it up. Use your imagination. What would it feel like if you did know? That's what I'm interested in you cultivating when your body is in this position. Okay, then just bring everything back to neutral, and you can go ahead and have a seat. There's more I want to share with you, but what I want to tell you is that you're activating about 8 different areas specifically, at least, in the brain. The frontal brain, the motor, the sensory, the integrative nervous system, the right brain, the left brain, the upper body, the lower body, the right side of the body, the left side of the body, the respiratory centers, the visual centers, the cerebellum, subconscious memory is stored in the cerebellum. And you're accessing all of this at the same time. It's basically like hitting a giant reset button and begin again. It's like Control-Alt-Delete on your computer. Okay, escape. It gets you out of the pattern that you were in. It's a reset button. Use it every day. Put your body in this position every morning when you get out of bed, every night before you get into bed, 2 times each side, ideally a wonderful support. Now, there's a couple of more things I want to add to that will truly give you an amazingly different experience in your life. And you can do this when you're driving down the road in your car, when you're sitting at your desk, at the computer, when you're doing housework, when you're doing anything, all the time. I always want you to be preoccupied with practicing this. There are a group of muscles at the base of the pelvic bowl. The sphincter muscles, the Kegel exercise muscles, the muscles around the bladder that would help contain it and hold it in if you needed pressure against the bladder, like you had to go to the bathroom and you couldn't get there for a long time, just all that. If you would contract all those muscles right now, just with everything you've got, and it's kind of awkward, it's kind of weird, it's kind of funky, but do it anyway, okay? Then relax it by 1/2. With that amount of tension in there, keep that amount of tension in there while we do what we're about to do. That's called Mula Bandha. It's an Eastern term that means root lock. What it does is it causes you to draw energy down into the body and anchor yourself so that you don't get up into your head and get into all of the subconscious memory patterns that are running your life out of control, just running your life habitually or addictively and so on. So it'll anchor you. It will draw you down into your core, draw you down into your body, activating all kinds of different energies that are necessary for a more grounded capacity to consistently manifest what you want in your life. Now, the next thing I want you to do is keep that contracted, but also bring your attention to a foot above your head. And at a foot above your head, I want you to just imagine that you're going to breathe from a foot above your head right down through a tube, a channel of energy that runs right down through the core of your body. From there, all the way through the top of the head, through the center of the brain, through the center of the throat, through the center of the chest, the center of the belly, right down to the low abdomen, the center of the abdomen, front to back, left to right, right in the middle, all the way down to the tip of the spine and down into the earth. There is a torus of energy in the energy body of the human system, and through the center channel of that torus, that shape of energy, is where the ultimate possibility, the highest frequency energy pours down through us. Now, our spinal cord and our brain are hooked up with that central channel of energy, and that's where it comes from. But most importantly, I want you to take a deep breath, a low belly breath in from above your head. Breathe and imagine this tube, this channel of energy that runs right down through that place I described, through the center of the body, into the belly. Inhale from above your head down into the belly. Just take a big breath in. And contract those muscles of Mula Bandha in the base of the pelvic bowl. Now exhale straight down through them, right into the earth. Just imagine it. Just drop it right down through the earth, but keep those muscles contracted. And then take a deep breath in from deep in the earth this time, from down there where you were. Breathe up through those contracted muscles, right into the belly, not in the chest, but into the belly. And then exhale straight up through the whole body and out the top of the head. And you're just take your concentration. That's all I mean. Just imagine it. As if you might even take your hand and kind of track it up and down through the body. Now take a deep breath from above the head. Contract Mula Bandha. Contract Mula Bandha, those muscles at the base of the pelvic bowl. Breathe into the belly and exhale down into the earth. Take a deep breath in from deep in the earth, up into the belly, not into the chest, into the belly. Keep those muscles of Mula Bandha contracted, and then exhale straight up and out the top of the head. Now, you keep breathing in that way while I'm talking, and I assure you that what will happen is you will feel significantly different just within 30 seconds of breathing this way. I assure you that if you're ever driving down the road and you're upset, you're fretting about some argument that you had last night or something that's happening at work and you're on your way there now, your mind is just going with all the scenarios. You contract Mula Bandha and take a few breaths in this way, I promise you, you will not be able to think about that stressful situation with the same degree of anxiety that you had just a moment ago. It will completely change the vibrational frequency of your whole being. And so this is a way to start to cut a swath through the density of the physical matter that we occupy. When we say, I am, when we call this body our body, we live in our heads and we look down at our body and it's almost like another version of us. And we're meant to be in all of it, and we're meant to be mastering it more and more and more. So if we're ever going to even be able to get to the idea of clearing subconscious interference, we first have to begin to pattern ourselves in a way that allows for this to be true. And putting our body in the position that I said earlier, where we step forward with one foot and bend the knee and the arm goes up, and then contracting Mula Bandha and breathing up and down through that central channel breathing that we've just done. All of that in the spirit of loving myself, being loved, and being joyfully compassionate and forgiving, releasing of things. While in that state, it allows the subconscious nervous system to reset and to begin to repattern. Now, there is much more that we can do to dig into clearing subconscious interference with specific incidences from our past, and even more importantly, clearing anything that would keep us from manifesting our goals in the future by other techniques that are available in the support materials that I brought along with my conversation today, for the purpose of going deeper, of course, than what we're able to do in 1 hour's time. But if you do nothing more than this, what I have just shared with you, with the body position and the Mula Bandha and the central channel breath, and always breathing in the belly, and always in the spirit of love and forgiveness and compassion, what will happen is a transformation will occur in how you process all of the other techniques that you do in your life and all of the other efforts and affirmations and intentions that you set for yourself. They have a much better chance of ever getting through to the part of you that will actually take a hold and have them make a difference in your life than they ever would have before without doing this in conjunction with it. And there is so much more that you can do But this is what we're able to do in the limitation of this conversation. But one of the things that is so evident that is the next step is if I'm planning my life and I'm setting goals for myself and I'm setting my dreams and setting my desires in motion, I want to make sure that there's nothing stored in my subconscious that is in complete negation of me ever even attempting to go to such a place, to have such wonderful things, or to have my life unfold like that. Those high frequency vibrations that are associated with the dreams and desires that you have, I promise you they're higher vibrations than what your life is now, or you wouldn't be dreaming of them and desiring them. You're interested in the higher vibrational frequency that they represent. But if your subconscious is convinced that you ever approaching that higher vibrational frequency is dangerous because you got duped when you went there once before, then it will never let you get there. So one of the things that I teach in one of the DVDs that I offer people is a technique on how to make sure that when I hold my vision in my conscious mind, that my subconscious is in support of it. How do I can tell. I can test in an instant to see if it's in alignment for me or not. And if it's not, I can boil it down to the real reason underneath the scenes without even knowing the story behind it. Clear it up and move on so that my efforts actually reveal. My efforts actually make a difference in my life. So that's one of the things. And, if we get a chance to dive in and talk about the other things that are in the little support package that I've put together, I'm happy to do so. I'm going to touch base and see, Kristen, what we need to do next.
Yeah, actually, what I would love to do, and I do want to talk about that in just a second, but first what I would love to do is hear from you, and I know you have countless stories, so I'm going to make it difficult for you and say, can you just narrow it down a little for us? But I'm curious for what is possible for everybody who's listening, and it's really helpful when we can hear some, just an example of some of the amazing turnarounds that you have seen from people who are applying this and are applying what you're teaching here.
Oh, absolutely. I've had so many career changes with people. It's amazing. People changing their careers. It's been amazing to see that. I've had many, many people share with me that they wanted to leave their job or they wanted to start a new business or that kind of thing. And they just, after doing this, they just sank down inside of themselves and found that they were able to utter the words, to set it in motion, to go ahead and apply for the loan, or to say yes to it in some way that they hadn't before. In addition to that, another thing comes to mind, and I just was in a conversation the other day about this that was so amazing, and it just popped into my mind again, that a woman stood up in a recent workshop that I taught, and I hadn't met her before. She had only heard me on one of these interview type. It was a radio interview that she heard, and she got the materials and she started listening to them and doing the technique, the best release technique that I was sharing with you just a few moments ago. That's what clears the subconscious interference. It's not what we learned today, but it's an add-on to that. Okay, so she just did that, and it was about, I think it was a few months. I think 3 months had gone by. Maybe it was 4 months had gone by since from the time that she got the materials and started listening to them and started doing them to the time that she came to one of my workshops with the tickets that were included in the package. She came to the workshop just to report the bliss in her life because she had done what I mentioned earlier that so many people have done, really found her passion. She found her way into her purpose, and she was able to have a job change and was thrilled with that. She also, which was shocking to me, announced that she ended a 35-year marriage that she had been miserable in for more than half of it.
Wow.
And she was able to have the courage to step into her truth and to set herself free into the life that was next for her, that was intended for her to be experiencing. And in addition to that, she also, this is why it stands out in my mind so much. I was just talking about it the other day. She also moved out of state at the same time. All three of these things in a 3 or 4 month period. And any one of these things is enough to rattle someone's cage if they're not, if they're not acclimated, if they're not integrated, and most of all, if they're not grounded and embodied, if they're not in their body with it all. So this work is about It's not about more, bigger, faster, wow. It's about anchoring, grounding, integrating, and real. It's about getting authentic and getting into the real path that is intended for you. Because when you're there, you are powerful beyond belief. And things change automatically without effort and without fear. So it's been a profound journey for her, for sure, and for many, many people who report similar circumstances in their lives changing pretty amazingly with just such simple practices that we're born with, you know.
And that's the part I love. And I also love that you've brought up something, you know, that is so, I know, important to the listeners just because they tell me, which is shifting out of struggle into, you know, a more effortless, flowing life. So that's what I'm so excited about here. And you did mention that you've put together a support package for us. So everyone, I want to make sure that you are there looking at this and experiencing it with her, because this is really powerful. So we made it really simple for you. You don't have to type anything in, and you can just click the special offer button that's on this page, and you will be taken there to see this really fantastic thing that Dr. Sue has put together. And I'll let you take it from here. Dr. Sue, can you let us know what we'll find there?
Absolutely. There are 2 DVDs that are very user-friendly, walking you through processes. One is a home study program where I'm teaching something and then I swing back and talk to you and give you a homework assignment to kind of integrate that and make it really practical and usable, and so that things make a difference in your life right away. So that you're not just getting this big concept, but that you're getting some real practices to do. The next one is the Body Awake 1. That is the best release that I was telling you about when you're goal setting and you want to make sure that subconscious interferences are being removed and that you're getting at them so that your goals can manifest with grace and ease, as well as clearing up the old stuff without having to know the story. All of that is found in the Body Awake 1 DVD. The technique is there, as well as some breathing techniques, as well as some toning practices, just to get the high frequency energies moving in the body again so that you can begin to establish your full potential in this life, and that you can own it and feel it and work with it and walk as that, and so on. So then there is a 4 CD set that's the equivalent of 4 CDs, and we've turned it into MP3 downloads so that you can get it immediately. And it's called Fear into Fire. And it's really just blowing up this whole idea of fear in the first place, that really just taking its power away and turning it into this passionate energy that it's really intended to be, and that it has been kept from being experienced as simply because we've turned away from it, we've shied away from it, we've hedged and hem-hawed. So we have these things now in reaction to that we call fears, and they are such an illusion that it is quite amazing that they run our lives to the degree that they do. So this is all about turning your fear into the exact passion that you're looking for in order to have the gumption and have the oomph to be able to move through life the way that you would choose, ideally, to manifest. And then another thing is an AM and PM meditation. They're relatively short. They're like 20 minutes long, and it's to get you started in the morning, and it is to anchor you at night. And it's a process. It's actually an embodiment exercise where we're moving energy through the body. It's not just lay there and relax and bliss out. It's like, yes, get in that blissful state, but then let's do something with it. Let's shift the energy flow in the physical body while we're in that blissful state so that we can cut a swath through the chaos that's been generated there from all those fear patterns that have been set up for so long. So I walk you through it, how to do it. It has embedded in it all kinds of tones, vibrational frequencies that automatically take the body to that state, shifting the energy pattern before your mind even knows what it's supposed to be forgiving in order to do so. You know, that's the beauty of it all. So those are an inspired CD set. I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning one morning, and I had to wait a couple of hours to call my patient, who was a recording artist. I knew he had a recording studio, but I knew he wouldn't like me calling him at 5 in the morning. And I waited until Actually, I waited about 3 hours. So I waited until about 8 o'clock to call at 7:30 or 8 o'clock. And I said, hey, I have to come over. I have to come over and record something. And I had never done that before. I hadn't made any recordings of these kinds of things. And this was very soon after that big experience that I was sharing with you about the ray of light and suspended above the earth, and was completely transcendent of this physical life. And so I went over. He had it all set up. I sat down in front of the microphone and we rolled it out, and it just happened. With no rehearsal, no second take, no script, nothing. And then we put some music behind it and put some tones and vibrational frequencies that would assist the openings that were just coming through me in that moment. So I've had so many people from all over the world write us so many times about those meditations and the things that have begun to unfold for them in the process. So all of that, plus 2 complimentary tickets to a full-day workshop that I teach. If you're interested and if you live locally and can come to one of those, I teach them all across the United States. Now, I also have recordings of those for those people who are out of the country, and we can get that to you as well. So that is a bundle of support. Now, the tickets are to an introduction to the coursework that I teach, which is a profoundly deep process that people take over the period of a couple of years at their own pace, which is a delightful experience too. But that's what I'm bringing into this conversation: the Yes I Am DVD, the Body Awake One, Fear into Fire, and the AM and PM meditation downloads as well, with a tremendous amount of content there to have some life shifting take place for you. So that's the support package.
It's amazing, and there's so much in it. Now, let me ask you this. When we start working with this, what are some of the things that we can expect to start experiencing right away, so that we know we're on track?
What you'll notice right away is this grounded, steady feeling, even in the face of upheaval. You will, with these practices, you will find yourself being present even in circumstances that used to knock you for a loop, that used to knock you off center, and you'd have to go away and regroup and come back, or this type of thing. You will experience, therefore, increased energy, because you're not wasting your energy on the mental process of planning your next strategy and how you're going to defend yourself in the next situation and so on. And all of that just goes away. It just falls away in your life, because you realize that you're made of much more than that. And once we identify with the much more, it never goes away. So you'll begin to feel that you sleep better, you have more energy when you get up in the morning, you handle circumstances in a way that seems so grounded and wise. You'll feel that you have much more wisdom than the years in your life. And what that in turn does is makes you feel younger, makes you feel like you're able to, be inspired about life again and look forward to things happening rather than dreading them and always looking at the difficulties and the challenges and so on. So I get that report from almost everyone that speaks to me about their immediate feedback on circumstances. And then over a longer period of time, they report that their relationships are changing and their work environment is changing, and the ease with which they do the things that they're required to do in all of their life circumstances are happening in a proactive way instead of a reactive way, and they're actually manifesting things as they're dreaming them. It's not a lifelong dream anymore. It's like their dreams happen and they manifest kind of simultaneously in the long run. That's what people start reporting to me, and it's definitely what has happened in my own life. That it's like I say something, and within hours or days it happens, whereas I used to have to plan and work and make that happen over time. So something that requires a lot of energy to make it happen, it requires a lot of energy to sustain it. And what happens with this over the long haul is that it doesn't take a lot of energy to manifest things, and therefore it doesn't take a lot of energy to sustain them. It's just because it's what's intended to be happening for you. So it happens with grace and ease. It's automatic. It occurs because it's supposed to occur. And now you're in touch with how to steward that. So those are some of the effects that people report back to me. Is that what you were asking?
Yeah, it's perfect. And it's so exciting. And it's really, I love what you've brought to us, because that's what I love. I love being able to, help people become empowered and, really take control of their lives, but also in that way where it's not where they're freeing themselves from the struggle. And you're really giving us a great opportunity to do that here. So I'm absolutely thrilled, and I'm thrilled with everything you've shared. This is an amazing package that we've put together. So go ahead, click on that special offer button, and you'll see for yourself. Dr. Sue, you've been fantastic. Everything you're sharing. I mean, I'm so thrilled that I was able to be here and share you with everyone listening. And, you're just truly, the energy with which you delivered everything was just fantastic and off the charts. And I have to tell you, I so appreciate it, really, really, truly, and am very grateful.
Oh, it's such a joy. And I could talk like this 24 hours all day long. I love it. And because it's a truth. It is a big truth. It's a deep truth, and it's everybody's truth. So if I can offer, and I can, and this package does, a way for people to begin to access that, then, why not? I'm thrilled to do it. And I used to do it in my practice with one patient at a time, and now I get to talk to lots and lots of people at the same time. And that is just the greatest blessing, because I know that humanity is ready for a conscious community to help each other, to awaken to the truth of who we are. And there's nothing broken. There is nothing missing. There's nothing wrong with us. It's just a matter of us aligning ourselves inside and becoming aware of the fact that we are truly magnificent beings. And so it's my great joy, Kristen, to be here to speak to that place in each one of you. I assure you that what I've been doing in this whole conversation, the reason the energy is what it is and the clarity is what it is because I'm in that place that I was in that meditation that I was describing you. And I was speaking to that part in you from that part in me instead of just to your personalities. So there's been a transmission that's been happening through the entire conversation, and everyone, as they browse through that page and order the package and do that thing, just know that that's happening in a celebration of your own liberation, your own freedom. And I'm there with you, and I'm happy to answer questions down the road whenever, however I can be of service. That's why I'm on the planet, and it's my great joy to do so.
Fantastic. Well, there is nothing that I could say that would be a better way to end this. So I am just going to simply thank you again for everything you've shared. And it's all come from such an authentic place. And I think that is exactly it. It resonates as such truth. So thank you again for that. And everyone listening, you are extraordinary. And I just love being able to be here with you, sharing this time. And until the next time, keep manifesting, everyone. Bye-bye.